Tonight, Kristen Barbaresi continues her series on the impact COVID-19 is having on our local correctional facilities. Last week, she showed you inside the Milwaukee County Jail. Tonight, she explores the conditions inside the House of Correction. That's a facility that houses inmates awaiting trial or those with shorter sentences who sometimes get work release privileges. Here's Kristen Barbaresi with more in tonight's special report.
The head of the House of Correction says they're recovering from the latest COVID outbreak, restoring things like hot food service. But some inmates tell me they're still frustrated with the conditions. We're not naming them because they fear retribution. 2022 started with a surge in COVID numbers across the country and inside the House of Corrections, where it can spread quickly despite mask policies.
It's the congregate living setting where we have 40 individuals in one dormitory. And we have now with this Omicron, we see that people are not even symptomatic.
On December 23rd, 139 inmates were positive. The numbers went down, but spiked again on January 7th to 170. That included 100 positive people HOC took from the jail to help with the outbreak over there. House of Corrections Superintendent Chantel Jewell says despite a 93% vaccination rate among staff, the outbreak hit them hard.
The impact is there's a lot of overtime because we're 24/7 operations and we have to have staff. People are oftentimes have to work double shifts.
At the peak of the outbreak, staffing shortages led to disruptions in laundry service.
I just moved from a COVID dorm to a non-COVID dorm. I was forced to wear the same clothes for 2 days after asking numerous COs to give me a new role so I could change.
And food service. Inmates tell CBS 58 that meant the same cold meals day in and day out.
Our first hot meal we had was a few days ago, and we were eating bologna sandwiches for literally 28 days straight.
Bologna sandwiches, an apple, and a cake every day. It was the same exact thing every day.
Attorney John Lavoie has a client who tells a similar story.
They're not given any nutrition. My client has lost 15 pounds in 18 days of being there.
Jewell says things are improving. As of Monday, 19 inmates are positive, 15 came from the jail, and 30 staff are positive or in quarantine due to exposure. She says services are back up and running, though inmates are still kept in the dorms.
We want to minimize spread as much as possible, so we have to limit movement within the facility, which means that individuals are not able to have recreational activities outside of the dormitories.
But Lavoie says there are still problems. His client was supposed to have work release privileges, but that never happened. CBS 58 spoke to him after his release over the weekend.
I'm vaccinated. I tested negative for COVID, and my drug test was clean.
He says before going in for his sentence on December 26th, he called to make sure he would be able to work.
They told me ranging from you could be out the same day to, 2 to 3 days. So just leading up to going in, I made sure I had all the necessary documentation.
He says he's lucky he didn't get fired.
I ended up having to use all of my vacation, and I had to take a few unpaid days. But fortunately, I was able to keep my job.
He adds others might not be as fortunate.
I know for a fact there are other people that I was with in that dorm that are in the exact same position as me that might have 3-4 months.
Lavoie says he still can't get a straight answer about why his client never got out.
When you talk to the House of Corrections, they give you several different reasons, but every time you talk to them, it's different. But the primary theme is that COVID has overrun their facility, and they're very short-staffed.
Jewell says those with work release privileges are still getting out, but they are put in a 14-day quarantine when they arrive. Lavoie says that wasn't true for his client, and now he's recommending other clients delay settling their cases.
Most of our clients right now are out on bail, so most of them are living at home right now, so we're not advising them to go into any sort of a plea bargain or plea agreement where Huber would be on the table.
Lavoie says one thing that could help with the problem, put nonviolent misdemeanor offenders on electronic monitoring straight from court instead of processing them through the jail or House of Corrections. He says that used to be the process.
It makes no sense to me that they basically take an inmate who is vaccinated and COVID-free, and then they place them in the jail. These bracelets are affordable. They charge the defendants for them, so it's paid for by the inmate. It's not paid for by necessarily the county.
Jewell doesn't agree.
We have to make sure that we're screening and making sure that we're making appropriate releases to the community.
Instead, Jules says they're doing their best to stop the spread, requiring masks, weekly testing, and educating inmates about the vaccine and offering a $50 incentive for those who get the shot. Reporting in Milwaukee County, Kristen Barbaresi, CBS 58 News.